While death and taxes are a certainty, San Diego's fast food, retail, and home care workers are wondering if low wages are too. On this tax day, we will explore what it will take to lift people out of poverty. Our guests are Richard Barrera, CEO of the San Diego Imperial County's Labor Council, and Eric Bruvald, president of the National University System Institute for Policy Research. Richard, you head the local Labor Council. What is life like for San Diego County's low-wage workers?
And let's remember that we're talking about a large number of workers in San Diego. So about 4 out of 10 families live month to month not making enough to actually pay their bills. So that means not being able to afford basic housing, food, transportation, childcare, constantly living in a situation where you don't know if you're going to be able to pay the rent the next month. You don't know if there's going to be enough food on the table for your kids. That's a reality for a large percentage of working people here in our own community.
Eric, there are rallies all over the place today in favor of raising the minimum wage from $9 an hour to $15 an hour. You favor a state earned income tax credit instead. How would that work?
So an earned income tax credit is basically paid when a tax filer files their taxes and they get back usually everything that they've paid and been withheld, and actually additional money that usually makes up for what they paid for their payroll tax. It's basically a negative income tax for people that are earning lower incomes or have a large number of children. I mean, that's sort of the formula that's used. And in San Diego County in 2013, about 240,000 San Diegan families, tax filers, qualified for the EITC, receiving back from the federal government about $2,200. It's very targeted, so it hits families, like Richard said, that are really struggling with those day-to-day expenses. And it works sort of as a de facto savings program. So it helps cover some of the unexpected bills that come up and that oftentimes working families take out loans or put it on the credit card, that auto repair, and the EITC has been shown as a mechanism by which those debts can be paid out when it comes in as a lump sum at tax filing time.
So Richard, is an earned income tax credit alone enough?
No, of course not, and it's not an either or. There's no debate between, you don't have to choose between an earned income tax credit expansion at the federal level or at the state level, which we support, which President Obama supports, by the way. But President Obama also supports increasing the minimum wage. You have to do both. If you think about a minimum wage worker in San Diego right now working full time, that's about $15,000 a year. Where to make ends meet, you have to be more than $50,000, $60,000 a year if you're supporting a couple of kids. The most important strategy, though, to combat poverty is to allow workers to form strong unions. And the big part of the rally today that we're seeing home care workers and fast food workers and security guards and others engaged in is increase the minimum wage, but also let workers form a union. In the times in this country where we've had high percentages of workers who are parts of unions, we see workers being able to basically make their ends meet. The difference today between a unionized grocery store worker and a non-unionized grocery store worker is the difference between being able to support your family and make a future for your kids versus living in poverty day to day. So allowing workers to come together, form strong unions, bargain across the table with their employers, and then public policy like increasing minimum wage and earned income tax credit, that's how we lift people out of poverty.
So Eric, there is an effort at the state legislature level to introduce an earned income tax credit, but critics say that that simply isn't enough and that you've got to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour, and anything short of that will not lift people who are low-wage workers and major breadwinners of their family. It won't be enough to take them off of public assistance.
Well, I would agree. I mean, I think it's a false dichotomy, as Richard said, to put EITC and minimum wage together. I think the challenge with minimum wage, though, is that it's a pretty broad and blunt instrument. I mean, what we know is that about a third of San Diego families that earn over $60,000 a year have a low-wage worker that's part of that family, whether it's a second income or a kid or what have you, and that 40,000 low-wage workers are part of a family that makes over $100,000 a year. So understand that raising the minimum wage will help the kinds of people that Richard's talking about, but that it also, because it's so broad and it's a scattershot, will also impact other people that we might want to have more targeted public policy toward.
Very quickly, the effort to raise the minimum wage to $11.50 an hour is on the ballot next year for the city of San Diego. Where do you think voters are going to fall on this one?
Voters will support it, and when we make that change, we're going to see about 1 out of every 3 women in San Diego will get a raise. About half of all women who work will get a raise as a result of that minimum wage increase. About half of all Latino families will get a raise. It's low-wage workers are such a large part of our economy that when we all come together and support those low-wage workers, we're going to see the benefits of money coming back into our economy, and we're going to create jobs. Voters will support the increased minimum wage.
We've got to wrap it there. Thank you both so much for coming on the program.